the reason is the retail stores, the price per square foot or square meter of retail stores has shot up so much that the shops don't want to be holding too much stock in the shop, right? So and you'll see it now as we talk about the different types of warehouses. What a lot of retail stores now have is a small storage area, or they use a DC, a distribution center, outside of the city, right, of the main city. And they, with the EPOS system they have in place, every time an item is sold, it registers that that item has been sold, so they need to restock that item, right? So they'll either go to their own little store outside the city, which costs them not less than what retail square footage would be. They'll have that order shipped into them. Will it be from their own store or from a DC center? And that's why centers have shot up all around the major cities. You'll see them the likes in Glenmore and, you know, out further afield, there's all these massive big DC centers. What's that, Little Island?
Yeah.
It's the same around Dublin. You know, you have so many DC and they're shooting up everywhere. Like you cannot get warehousing properties around the bigger cities now. It's all tied up. All the big companies, you know, have it. And what they're doing there is they're operating like a thrice daily service into certain retail stores. That, you know, you ordered this morning, it's to you by lunchtime. Or you order at lunchtime, it's into you by afternoon. Or you'll have your 9 a.m.s the next morning. You know,
what I've noticed as well is, like, I think like non-perishable stuff. Like I ordered a jersey recently to one shop, and I could tell it probably just was in somewhere else and into that shop rather than deliver it to me or just get new stock in. So it's almost like taking from Peter to give to Paul, but that's what it seems like anyway.
Yeah. Once it's out of stock, they're waiting for it to come in from the local DC center.
Yeah.
You know, and it's gone like that in a lot of the stores. I mean, you see a lot of the stores have moved from central locations to a side street or not on the main Patrick Street because it's too expensive. They can't afford that site anymore, and they've moved into smaller premises. I see, even in Carlow where I live, I see it a lot down there. There's a lot of people have moved off Tullow Street, and Tullow Street now there's more empty shops, I think, than actual occupied shops.
It's just
they've moved up around the corner, you know, onto Potato Market, where it's a lot cheaper, it's a lot smaller. You probably have more footfall than you have on the main street, and you know that's the way they work. And they just use an outside small distribution area just out the Wexford Road, and they've all small units out there, and they operate from there. Stock just comes in a couple of times a day. It's the way it's gone. Unfortunately, it's the way it's gone. Well, no, I suppose. Is it making the product any cheaper? No, it's not. Is it affecting the bottom line of the company? Yes, it is. You know, it's cost cutting, and they seen all this through the pandemic. You know, they seen how much people rely or can rely on and utilize online sales, and that's the way it's gone. Everybody buys online. I mean, to be honest, I'm fed up with herself being online every night of the week, and it's always something. You just see the delivery vans coming in every single day into the drive-in. You know, and you say, for what? Well, I needed this, I needed that, or it was on special.
That leads into another question as well. So basically, like Amazon, it's fairly handy. You can get a lot of stuff on it, but it's been a bit of a F up since Brexit. Are we ever going to get our own distribution center?
We have it
already.
Yeah, but they won't tell you about it.
Really?
There's a distribution center. It's a massive big warehouse on the edge of Baldongo. You can actually see it from the nice road, the N7.
Really?
Yeah. As you're coming up, you'll see it on the left-hand side. It's just before you come into Dublin. You pass by Junction 2, right? And before you get to Junction 1A, before the Green Line Hotel, on the left-hand side, there's this massive big warehouse. And it's got the name on the building and all is Amazon. DSV is beside it. Schenkers is beside it. They've all bought massive warehouses in the state. Right? It's Baldonal Business Park or Baldonal Industrial Park or something like that. It is massive. Right?
And the reason
your distribution comes from.
And why won't they admit they have one? Is it just so they don't have to provide certain functions? Because certain things still won't be shipped here from the UK.
Like What they used to do was actually used to have to go in order to avoid the taxes because of Brexit.
Yeah.
People used to go into the German Amazon and
Yeah,
order from
or the
the
French
German
one.
one
Yeah, I've done it.
or the French one. Yeah, and that way you're not paying it, but it's still coming from the distribution center in Dublin.
Yeah.
Everything is shipped through that. Now, it could be coming in from Germany, it could be coming in from France, it could be coming in from UK. But as far as Amazon is concerned, it's all coming into their distribution center in Dublin, right? And they have massive storage space up there. So all their product the majority of the product is stored in this Dublin center. But you don't see Amazon.ie, do you?
No. And that would give the consumer like a couple more options and stuff.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
was just wondering how we didn't have one yet, but that answers that.
Yeah. They're unbelievable. And again, they're not on their own. A lot of other online customers or online providers, they all have a network in Ireland somewhere, right? But you can buy through .ie, a lot of them, but some of them it's through UK. But yet the product is sitting in the warehouse here in Ireland. It's totally unfair to the consumer, but that's their operation. That's the way they operate.
And there wouldn't be protection from the EU. I thought the EU was pretty good for the consumer, or it's just bigger fish to fry. No one's taken that on yet.
That's exactly it.
Mm.
That's exactly it. It's just like the GDPR.
Yeah.
It's much the same. People have got away with it for years and years and years. And okay, the data protection are starting to come onto this. And they are starting to deep dive into the likes of the Amazons, the Googles, the Microsofts, the Facebooks of this world. And it's starting to pull in money for extractive, to be honest with you. That's all it's for. It's for the government. You or I are not going to see the benefit of it.
Yeah.
But that's the way it is. Unfortunately, that's the way it is. It's a crying shame, to be honest with you. Like in the position I've been in over the years, I've seen a lot of cover-ups. I've seen a lot of work being done underhanded. And again, the end of the day, the consumer is paying the price for it. But what can you do about it? It's being ruled by the EU. We don't have a choice.
Our politicians probably wouldn't do anything anyway, to be honest. Their track record isn't fantastic.
No. And I don't think that's going to change either, Mark, to be honest with you. Okay, let's look at the types of warehouses that are out there. All right. And we start off with a wholesale warehouse. Now, a wholesale warehouse, what they do is they sell or they distribute to a central warehouse or directly to the retailer, right? Rather than the consumer, right? But they sell in large quantities. For example, Musgraves. We all know Musgraves. Musgraves is a cash and carry. But you or I can't go into Musgraves unless we've got a retailer card. Okay? And you go in there and you buy in bulk. That's the idea. And every price that's on the shelf is the price as it is before the VAT is added. The VAT is added at the cash out point. Okay? And again, because you're a company, you can claim that VAT back. Right? So the price you're getting it on the shelf is the price that is coming into you at, because the VAT you're paying it, you claim back. Right? You might have to wait for it, but you claim it back. The next one will be a retail warehouse. And this is what I was touching on earlier, Mark, with you. A location where a retailer will store their goods before selling them to the public. And an example of that is, I don't know, pick any retail store, haberdashery store anywhere in the city, and they will have an outside storage area where they'll get constant deliveries in a couple of times a day to stock up on stock that's already sold, replace stock, replenish their stocks. Another example would be a supermarket. Every supermarket would have some form of retail warehouse. Now, it could be at the back of the supermarket, right, as in the stores area. But the stock, take Dunnes Stores. Dunnes Stores, they're known for having pallets and pallets and pallets of stock in the storeroom of the warehouse, because they have to be able top up the shelves as the good. The goods move that fast, right? You can see a fruit and veg counter. You know, at 9 o'clock in the morning, it is full. By 10:30, they're replenishing the stock. So they have to have, you know, a storeroom or a small warehouse with all the stock in it, because they have to keep literally 4, 5, 6 times a day. They've got to replenish the stock as it's being sold, right? And that would be classed as a retail warehouse, right? It's belonged to the retailer, and they have their stock in it, and they supply or top up or replenish the stock as it's being sold from that retail warehouse. The next one is a raw material and component warehouse. Now, basically what that is, it's a warehouse that holds the raw materials, but also holds the near a manufacturing or assembly process, right? So, you know, something that's prepared, but it's not completed yet, right? That some add-ons have to be put to it. That could be held in a component warehouse. But these raw materials and the component warehouses are always very, very close to an assembly line or to the manufacturing plant itself. Work in process or progress warehouses, again, much the same as the component warehouses. It's where they hold partially completed assemblies, right? But they also hold products at various points along the assembly line or the production line. Again, take Toyota, you know, manufacturing or assembling cars. They would have a warehouse fairly close to them. Now, and it could be a distribution center, right? Or it could be, you know, a transport company's warehouse, but it'll be very, very close to their production line. And they use a system called just in time, right? And just in time basically is they order a product and it's delivered within a certain time, like within 50, 60 minutes or 20 minutes or 30 minutes, depending on the demand for it, right? So, and they would have several runs from this warehouse into their production line several times a day, right? Several times a day they have it in. And it's on demand. Basically, it's on demand. And that's what a work in process or work in progress warehouse is. The next one you have then is what we call a finished goods warehouse, right? And again, a finished goods warehouse is a warehouse that holds inventory in order to, it's used to balance and hold buffer stock, right? And it buffers the variation between production schedules and the demand. Okay, so if I know it's going to take me 10 days to get the product from my manufacturer or producer to my store, right? And if I know that I'm selling 5 of those products every day, my buffer stock should be 50 of those products, right? Because I know it's going to take me 10 days to get it in. I'm selling 5 a day. So in my finished goods warehouse, I should have 50 of them and ready to call them down as I need them. 5 every day, or even 10, 2 days stock on the shelf. Okay. Again, the warehouse is usually located near the point of manufacture, and it's also often characterized by the flow of full pallets in and full pallets out, right? Assuming that the product size and volume warrants a pallet-sized loads. It's also a warehouse serving only, you know, this function. It may have demands ranging from monthly to quarterly replenishment, right, of stock. Again, to the next level of distribution. Excuse me. And then we move on to central warehouses. Central warehouses would be distribution centers, right? And what they do is they accumulate and they consolidate products. Again, from various manufacturing within a single firm, or it can be from several firms. And then it's basically for the combined shipment to a common customer, right? And really, it's very similar to what we spoke about earlier, as in cross-stocking. But they hold the stock. They store the stock. Cross-stocking, it's in and out immediately. With a central distribution center, it holds the stock, right? And again, it's normally located central to either the production location or the consumer base, the customer base, the retailer, all right? And again, those warehouses, they serve as points in the distribution system at which products are received from many suppliers and quickly shipped out to many customers. In some cases, you will, as the distribution centers handles perishable foods, as in fruits and veg, most of that product enters in the early morning and is distributed by the end of the day. Now, to be honest, that has changed. That system has changed a lot over the last 18 months. And that is because, and I give an example there, Tesco supermarkets, right? They're restocked from central warehouses, right? The main one is in Donabate, Dublin. Now, why I say the product enters in the early morning and distributed at the end of the day, an awful lot of our fruit and vegetables are now sourced outside of Ireland. If you go into your supermarket and pick up a packet of sweet peas, right, or broccoli, or any veg, any type of fruit or veg, you will notice that it's sourced in South Africa, in Denmark, and anywhere but Ireland. So it doesn't have to come in this morning and be put on the shelf by this afternoon. Why? Because it's full of preservatives. And you'll see use by date or expiry date is maybe a couple of weeks away or a couple of days away. So the business of the business of stock coming in the morning and being on the shelf this afternoon, it doesn't happen with all products because there's preservatives in them to make them last, and they're coming in. I mean, could you imagine, a trailer load of vegetables coming in from Denmark? How long is that going to take to travel by truck from Denmark to Ireland, and then into a storage area to be broken down, and then distributed that evening out to the stores on 40-foot trailers? It's unbelievable. All our fruit and veg used to be sourced locally. Not anymore. It's frightening to think of where your product comes from. And again, the next time you go in, just have a look at the packet. Have a look and see where it's sourced. You'll be amazed. You will be amazed at where that product has come from. The stores, they buy in bulk, so it's a lot cheaper for them to buy abroad. Our local suppliers, obviously, it got too expensive for the supermarkets, so now they buy from further afield. I mean, what do they call themselves? Keelings up at the back of the airport. They were the main suppliers of fruit and veg to our stores. Not anymore. Wonder Foods was up there. There was a couple of them up around that area. The potato producers, again, most of your potatoes, if not all of them, are locally grown and supplied directly into the stores, or again through the distribution center. Kyo's, they're based out in Malahide. McDonald's, there's several of them around that supply potatoes into the stores. But that's about the only thing that comes from local producers. Now, fulfillment warehouses and fulfillment centers. Again, it says, or it does what it says in the can, fulfillment, right? It's where they receive goods in, they pick them, they pack them, and they ship small orders out to individual consumers. An example of that would be what we used to have. It was the digital computers. Right, Digital used to have a turnkey operation in Cork. Actually, they had one in Cork, they'd one in Dublin, they'd one in Shannon, and they'd one up I think it was Castlebar or Claremorris. And basically, what happened was different suppliers, like the suppliers of the lead, the suppliers of the hard drive, or sorry, the computer itself, the laptop, the suppliers of the box it goes in, the suppliers of the mouse, and the suppliers of any other parts, right, along with the manual. They'd all come from this different suppliers into this fulfillment center. And there'd be production line fulfillment center where there'd be different products facing different individuals. And as the box comes down, the box would be the first thing to be put together. And as that comes down the line, right, each person is putting a different item into that box. When it gets to the end of the line, the box is sealed. There's a label already printed up. The label is stuck onto it, and then it's put out for shipping. That's how you receive your products most of the time when there's different parts in it. They come from fulfillment centers, right? And turnkey is the word there that's used all the time. Okay, that's your fulfillment center and your fulfillment warehouse. They pull together the products, the different products, to make up one item going out to a consumer. Is that okay? You understand that so far? You're with me, as they say. You're still with me. Let's move this on. You've local, value, and private warehouses down, right? Your local warehouse, basically, it distributes into the field, right, in order to shorten transportation distances, like to permit a rapid response to customers' demands. Again, frequently, single items are picked, and the same item may be shipped to the customer every day. It's much like your retail warehouses, right, where your product is sitting in the warehouse. Your EPOS tells the system, the computer system, that piece is being sold. We need to replenish it. Now, it may be that they wait till 4 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the afternoon to pull all the items that have been sold, right? It'll say on the system, and it may be a case of that's when they pull the order and they deliver for 8 o'clock the next morning. Okay. Or you could have it that, at 12 o'clock, at 3 o'clock, and then, or at 4 o'clock, and then at 9 o'clock the next morning would be the delivery schedules for each and every item that's sold the day before. It reduces the need for shop floor space. And it's happening in a lot of the stores. And then you have value-added service warehouses. Now, again, we kind of hit on this earlier on. It serves as a facility where the key products, right, or the key product customization activities are executed. And, that includes the packaging, the labeling, the marking, the pricing, and the return process system. That would be value-added services that the warehouse operations offer to their consumers. And then you have private warehouse. Private warehouse, that type of warehouse normally is owned and operated by an individual company, and it can be a supplier or a reseller. Okay, it is used for the organization's own distribution activity. For instance, a major retail chain, they may have several regional warehouses to supply their stores, or they may have a wholesaler, or a wholesaler may operate a warehouse from which it receives and distributes products. Right? Again, it relates back to the likes of a retail warehouse, where you store your own product. You own the warehouse, or you lease the warehouse, and you store your own, and only your own product is stored in it. And after private, then is what we call a public warehouse. Public warehouse, then, that basically is, it's essentially space for hire, right? It's where the consumer, or you or I, could go in and rent space off them. All right. Um, Public warehouse, is it called Nesta now? Where you can go in and you can take a lockup and put your own stuff in the lockup, and put a lock on it, and that's storage. It's stored for as long as you want. You pay a monthly fee. There's that type of public warehouse, and then there's also the type where it's a massive warehouse and it's got picking and forklifts, and they'll take goods in and they'll store them, short term or long term, depending on your demands. All right, or the distribution needs. And again, retailers that operate their own private warehouses, they may occasionally seek additional storage space, okay, if their facilities have reached capacity. Or another time would be if they're making a large order or a special purchase of certain products. For example, retailers may order extra merchandise to prepare for an in-store sale, or they may order a large volume of product that's offered at a low promotional price, by a supplier. And they would need additional storage. So again, they rent out storage space from a storage company, a warehouse company. And again, there's lots of them around. So you'll see them. And of late then, we've come to the stage where we hit automated warehousing. Right? And automated warehousing, again, with the advances we've made in computer and robotics technology, many warehouses now have automated capabilities. And I'll show you some now in a couple of minutes on a video. But the level of automation, that ranges, again, from a small conveyor belt that transports product in a small area, all the way up to a fully automated facility where only a few people are needed to handle storage activities for thousands of kilograms of product. In fact, many warehouses use machines that handle nearly all the physical distribution activities, such as moving product-filled pallets around a building that may be several stories tall and the length of 2 or 3 more or more of a rugby or football pitch. That's automated. I'll show you some videos now on automated when we finish this part of the program. The other one, of course, is climate-controlled warehousing. And it says, it does what it says in the pack. Again, it's warehouses that handle storage of many types of products, including those that need special handling conditions, such as freezers for storing frozen foods, or humidity-controlled environments for delicate products, such as flowers. And there's also a thing called a dirt-free facility, and that's used for handling highly sensitive computer products or volatile products. So you have 3 really types of climate-controlled warehouses. You have the one that stores frozen products. You have the humidity-controlled one for storing delicate products, which, you think of flowers. And then you have a dirt-free facility for handling highly sensitive computer products. Now, in the freezer one, again, you have 2 or 3 types. You have the ambient type, and then you have the frozen type, chilled type. And I'm not sure. I know there's a blasting unit as well. I don't know if that's in a certain part of a chilled warehouse or whether it's in the ambient side of the warehouse.
That chill blast would be its own private one.
Would it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's way colder. So when they put the product in, the temperature will drop rapidly. And once it, for say fish, which was the scenario I'd understand, they want it to drop very quickly so all the bacteria and stuff will die. And then once it's rapidly chilled, they can put it into another freezer where the freeze will just be maintained.
Okay, so it's a separate.
Yeah, you couldn't have maybe there's ones that can do both, but anything I've seen, and my knowledge is limited, but anything I've seen is a blast freeze is literally the cold air wind being blasted into it, and then that's just to drop it down. maybe bigger plants could have it where a blast freeze could be a normal freeze, but usually they're separate because it takes a lot more juice and power to get it kind of doing what it needs to do.
All right, all right. I wasn't sure. I've never been in one.
They're freezing. They're absolutely a terrible situation to be in if you're not ready for it.
Yeah, and people are actually, again, they're probably automated. I don't know.
You would, yeah. It's more just put something in and then close the door as quickly as possible. You don't want least interaction as possible. Let it do its work.
Yeah. I wouldn't fancy working in one.
That's freezing.
Or anywhere near one.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's again the different types of warehousing, right? And as you can see, there are several. Now, again, there's different activities. But we'll get to that in a couple of minutes. What I want to do is I want to show you different videos and different types of warehouses. So just bear with me, please, just for 1 second. This one, isn't it? All right, let's look at an automated warehouse.
Welcome to Pioneer Standard Electronics Component Facility, located at 2385 Edison Boulevard in Twinsburg, Ohio. The facility consists of 106,000 square feet of space. It was constructed in 1990 as a fully automated distribution facility. The space is heated and air conditioned to ensure sensitive product environments are maintained. The building has both fire detection and fire suppression systems. The building also has an active security system that consists of video cameras and restricted access utilizing individual hand scan technology. Ceiling height is 30 feet to accommodate vertical storage requirements. Let's look at the areas that make up the facility. Receiving and shipping dock. Receiving stations. Carousel area. Consolidation carousel. Packing stations. Manifesting area. Bulk processing. Bulk pallet racking. High bay shelving. And shelving storage. Now let's look at the facility and the flow of product. The facility is set up to flow product from the point of receiving through shipping. The system assigns incoming product a location at receiving and tracks the product through its life cycle in the building. A barcoded identification number is given each receipt, which then moves to the assigned stocking location. When orders arrive from the host, the system recognizes where the product is located and assigns the workload to the appropriate workstation for processing. The dock consists of 4,100 square feet. There are 7 dock doors in the facility. 5 are trailer height doors with dock levelers and safety locks, 2 of which are fluid load doors providing delivery of product from the production area. A trash conveyor passes through the dock from the receiving area to the compactor to remove waste created from the receiving process. 2 doors are used for van height vehicles. The receiving area consists of 10 workstations. Each station is set up to receive product using purchase orders that are interfaced into the system. The system is capable of reading code 39 and 128. It can also accommodate 2D barcodes with appropriate scanning hardware. Bulk receiving is handled in a similar manner, except product is staged for movement to stocking location by a lift truck. Receiving for static shelving is placed on a cart instead of a conveyor and stocked using a RDT. When product is received, it is assigned a barcode number which is scanned into the system. A tote is retrieved from the overhead tote line and its number is scanned into the system. This acts as a carrier for the product. The tote with the product inside is placed on the conveyor, and it moves to one of 14 carousel workstations for stocking. As product arrives from the receiving, it travels via the induction conveyor to the carousels. The facility's carousels are the primary pick locations. They are a significant majority of the over 90,000 stocking locations in the building. There are two areas of carousel storage. The first area consists of 20 carousels comprising workstations 1 through 10. These were installed in 1990. The second area comprised workstations 11 through 14. These were installed in 1998.
What do you think of that? Your honest opinion.
For an automatic place, it's certainly a lot of people walk around.
Isn't there? And it's very, very disorganized. But then again, if you look at it, it's also very old. You're back in the 90s when you got the big computers, the back onto computers and that, massive. But that's going back to the 90s. That will give you an idea of some of the very first automated warehouses. It was all based around these conveyor belts, right? Into picking areas, out of picking areas, into distribution areas, out of distribution areas, and into storage areas, right? So that's what it was all based around. It was all conveyors. Let me find the other one for you now, more up to date one for you now. Well, I can get on my list away. Okay, let's look just inside their smart warehouse of Amazon. Let's see if this is...
Amazon is the world's biggest retailer, and its CEO, Jeff Bezos, is the world's richest man, for one very good reason. His company is better than anyone else ever at giving people what they want quickly. Amazon acquired its undisputed status as the heavyweight champion of the retail universe thanks largely to its lightning-fast delivery times. The astonishing feat of ferrying hundreds of millions of items, from guitar strings to saucepans to car parts, directly to your door inside 24 hours is nothing short of a modern logistical miracle. So how does Amazon do it? A super smart army of slave robots, for one. Ingenious, if occasionally unscrupulous, management practices are part of the answer too. And the modern-day voodoo of deep learning AI, all of which are made flesh in the most advanced stockrooms the world has ever seen. So join us today as we button up our high-vis jacket and journey inside Amazon's smart warehouses. In the year to September 2020, with the global economy in the teeth of coronavirus and the bleakest employment outlook in history, Amazon reported global revenues of little under $350 billion. That's roughly double what it earned in 2017, by the way, only 3 short years earlier. Not bad for a company which only started trading in 1994. Amazon has built its empire on a platform of sheer, unbeatable convenience for the end user. You, the customer, need a product. So you open the app or have a quiet word with Alexa, and next day, hey presto, it's sitting on your doorstep. Moving products from A to B quickly is not easy. Compared with other modern technology giants which barely need to exist in the real world, think of Netflix, Google or Facebook, Amazon needs to shift an astonishingly vast amount of sheer bulk safely, precisely and quickly all day, every day. So how does it do it? Last year, a senior Amazon executive described Amazon's warehouses, rather poetically, as a symphony of humans and machines working together. How does this symphony actually work? Let's take it from the top. Before you've even logged onto its website, Amazon has a fairly good idea of what you're going to buy. This is all down to the semi-occult 21st century abracadabra that is deep learning AI, which Amazon has been leveraging to incredible effect since around 2015. Put simply, an algorithm makes some assumptions about you based on your age, location, socioeconomic background, and purchase history. It will then, hours, days, or even weeks before you actually log on, ensure that your local warehouse is stocked with appropriate quantities of stock you're likely to consider buying. This might be a certain style of racy swimsuit that the algorithm anticipates will be the hot new must-have come springtime. It might be the paperback novel for a soon-to-go viral TV adaptation. In January 2020, for instance, Amazon's algorithm correctly anticipated high incoming demands for face masks, and, well, we all know what happened there. So Amazon's smart warehouses, also known as fulfillment centers, not to be confused with their post office-style sortation centers, very often know what you want even before you do. Or at least they know the very second you click Buy Now in the case of those wine-inspired late-night impulse buys. Once you've clicked, our symphony begins in earnest. You may have read headlines in recent years suggesting Amazon workers walk as many as 12 miles per shift, darting about between shelves, frantically picking up items. That's no longer quite true. Amazon's modern fulfillment centers are largely patrolled by an army of squat, Roomba-like robots that pick up whole shelves, also known as pods, and bring them to a human picker situated at a stationary workstation. Amazon's enlistment of this whirring battalion began in 2012, when the company purchased robotics company Kiva Systems, the market leader in warehouse automation, for an eye-watering $775 million cash. The company's flagship model, commonly referred to as Kiva, is around 30 centimeters high and capable of lifting 450 kilograms in weight, whilst traveling at around 3 miles per hour. The substitution of these squat orange automatons in place of dashing human workers makes a colossal difference to Amazon's bottom line. It's been estimated that Amazon's warehouses can now hold 50% more stock and retrieve that stock 3 times faster. This reduces the overall cost of fulfillment by some 40%. Cheaper, quicker warehouses mean products that are more affordable for the end user, and crucially, products that are much more likely to be on the van driving down your street the following day. Amazon isn't about to stop there. In a move that could be described as either ruthless or inspired, upon purchasing Kiva, Jeff Bezos changed the name of the company to Amazon Robotics and told all previous Kiva customers, household names like Gap, Walgreens and Staples, they'd no longer be allowed to buy new Kiva technology. This, of course, gives Amazon an incalculable competitive advantage. Since rolling out the Kiva robot across its fulfillment centers, by 2018 they had 100,000 of them, by now that figure has comfortably surpassed 200,000, Amazon Robotics has been refining the design still further. The new iteration of Kiva, known as Pegasus, is 10 centimeters shorter, meaning more can be stocked on top, and uses half the parts, so it's cheaper to manufacture and maintain. Amazon says Pegasus can lift a hefty 600 kilograms and can be customized with a conveyor belt to work in the sortation centers, where, Amazon reports, errors in delivery have been halved thanks to Pegasus. Naturally, Amazon isn't quitting there. Last summer, it announced a newer, thinner robot still called Xanthus and coming to a fulfillment center near you. So how do these pimped-out Roombas get around without knocking into each other all the time? Cloud-based software operating what can fairly be described as an AI-run air traffic control network coordinates the route of every single robot. This is all about optimization. What's the quickest route to get to a product that won't interfere with other robots on their own runs? What's the optimum speed, acceleration, and deceleration? As many as 800 robots can be deployed at any one time on the warehouse floor, although in practice, the numbers tend to be kept lower to avoid traffic jams. When their batteries run low, the robots are instructed to find the nearest charging station. Since robots took over the warehouses, changes have been implemented to improve their working conditions. Skylights, for instance, are now covered up, so the robot's sensors aren't confused by glare. Air conditioning units that blow downwards in areas where humans work now blow sideways so as not to topple delicate items from the tops of moving shelves. To navigate, a camera on the robot's undercarriage reads QR codes embedded in the floor, and individual sensors help the robots slow or swerve to avoid obstacles in their paths. Compared with these scurrying warehouse servants, some other robots working at Amazon look almost humdrum and conventional. The so-called Robo-Stow robotic arm, for instance, wouldn't look out of place in an old-school car factory, except it can lift a hefty 1,200 kilograms and manipulate shipping pallets to within 1/10 of a millimeter accuracy. There's also the labeling robots, nicknamed slam machines by human co-workers for their relentlessly percussive racket. These can label up to 1 package every second. And for a hint of what'll happen in the coming years, Amazon recently purchased Canvas Technologies, a firm specializing in autonomous robotic carts. Just picture the most sci-fi drinks trolley you can imagine. Robots, of course, are only part of the story inside Amazon's smart warehouses. Even the company's most fervent futurists admit the notion of complete automation is a decade away, and even then probably won't happen. So what of the human side? Amazon's management techniques, in concert with all that automation, have made the business astonishingly lean and mean by historic standards. In 2016, it was estimated that by bringing everything in-house, as opposed to all the duplication inherent in a standard high street or shopping mall, Amazon requires only half the employees a traditional retailer might, per $10 million in sales. What are all these humans, hundreds of thousands across the world, actually doing then? Well, since Kiva and its robotic heirs took over, there's much less rushing around than there used to be. But there's still plenty of tasks requiring dexterity and problem solving. The two most common roles still done by humans are stowing and picking. When goods arrive at the fulfillment centers, they're stowed by humans onto shelves or pods to be collected later by the robots. The pickers then pick the specific item from the shelves when the robots come by, then send it on to be packed. Workers on the picking side are encouraged to work fast in order to maintain their so-called rate. If workers' rate falls below expectations, employees can be disciplined and ultimately sacked. According to one ex-employee, this rate can be challenging to fulfill. 120 items per hour when they started at the company, rising as high as 280 items per hour just 3 years later. Errors are also punished. According to the same ex-employee, workers were once permitted 1 error per 1,000 items, but now they're only allowed 1 per 2,200. The rates only get more challenging during Prime Day when sales on Amazon skyrocket. One way Amazon encourages workers to make rate is through gamification, or making the whole thing into a game. So instead of a plain old-fashioned graph telling workers where their productivity stands in relation to the rate, workers instead play and compete on in-house games with names like Picks in Space, Mission Racer, or Castle Crafter. So essentially, the faster and more accurately employees pick stock, the faster their little pixelated car moves around the track. Other incentive schemes, such as in-house currency swag bucks, reward hard work with Amazon-branded merch such as water bottles or t-shirts. Amazon has regularly found itself in the firing line for its intense working practices. According to reports, as many as 14,000 serious injuries occurred at Amazon sites in 2019, a per-employee rate of nearly double the industry standard. Deaths are infrequent, but not unheard of. In the UK alone, during the 3 years to 2018, ambulances were called to Amazon warehouses 600 times. For its part, Amazon is keen to stress it invests tens of millions of dollars into worker safety awareness programs, but there's no denying injuries spike around Prime Day. So are Amazon's ultra-efficient warehouses ultimately a force for good? While COVID-19 laid waste to vast swathes of the conventional retail landscape, this year Amazon has been processing up to 40% more orders than expected. In the month leading up to March 23rd alone, toilet paper sales increased 186%, sales of cough medicine skyrocketed 862%, and children's vitamins went up 287%. Plainly, in a world where going to the shops can be a risky business, Amazon is fulfilling a need, and as such, ever greater numbers of people are relying on it. Will the robots steal our jobs then? The outlook is unclear, but within Amazon, it's plain to see that humans are still needed for many aspects of the work. And even if robots can one day stow or pick as fast as humans, dealing with mini crises like leaking paint pots on a fast-moving conveyor belt or identifying ripe bananas on site will still need the human touch for some time to come. Whatever the future brings, Amazon's new $40 million robotics lab just outside Boston, for instance, or its tantalizing patent for airship-like floating fulfillment centers, one thing can be guaranteed. As long as we're all buying, Amazon will keep on delivering.
What do you think of that one?
Bit ominous.
The robots are taking over.
They certainly are. And again, that's just one of them. When we come back after lunch, I'm going to take you inside the warehouse, Amazon warehouse, and you're going to see a lot more. But isn't it amazing, how you can go from being an employer of thousands of people to just an employer of a couple of hundred people because of technology. And their technology has to be so precise from entry to actual delivery, as in delivery to the consumer, right? And what gets me is, you're penalized if you make a mistake. You're penalized both inside and outside the warehouse. Like van drivers are penalized if they don't get it right. If they don't get all the deliveries done on that day, and it could be 120 deliveries, they're penalized. So it's that side of it is very, very unfair. But it's the way Amazon work. And once you know that going in, well, then you know what you're facing. Right. We'll see you all at 2 o'clock. Is that okay, guys?
Yeah, perfect. Thanks.
And we'll have a look inside. We'll have a look inside Amazon.
Thank
All
you.
right. Okay. Take care. See you then.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
Thank you.
How long is this break gonna be?
2 o'clock.
Oh,
Back at 2 o'clock. All right.